As Tsubasa walked to school, he reflected on recent events and distractions in his life, pondering how these elements might be affecting his academic performance. Along the way, he encountered Rina, and noticing Tsubasa's concern, she asked what was wrong. He confessed to being worried about his studies. Rina offered her help as a tutor, as she always got the best grades in class. Perhaps she really did know the answer to that question with just a glance. In the end, Tsubasa decided to ask Rina for help so he wouldn't have to leave Hokkaido and his friends. He was determined to be among the top students in class. The two agreed to go to the library after lunch to study, but Tsubasa felt nervous at the mere thought of being alone with Rina. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Fuyuki vented to a friend about how tiring and exhausting their studies were. Upon leaving, she saw Tsubasa and Rina arriving together. She approached them and asked how Tsubasa managed to befriend Rina, whom Fuyuki idolized and wanted to be close to at all costs. Tsubasa revealed that he found out Rina was his neighbor, making Fuyuki a little uncomfortable. After the bell rang, Fuyuki asked if she and Tsubasa could study together, but he declined, not wanting to talk about the threat his grandmother had made to him, fearing that Fuyuki would feel guilty about it. Tsubasa went to the library to study with Rina, as agreed. When they finished, Rina asked why he was trying so hard to be among the top students. He revealed that if he couldn't make it, he might not be able to see some people anymore. Rina suggested a date as a reward for her help. Meanwhile, Fuyuki felt something strange in her chest that she couldn't explain, while Rina and Tsubasa continued their study sessions, even when not at school. The exam week arrived, and Tsubasa made it into the top 10, securing third place, while Rina, despite spending time teaching Tsubasa, took first place. As agreed, Tsubasa had to go on the date with her. The two dressed in traditional clothes as Rina wished. Her angelic beauty made Tsubasa nervous, not to mention the flirtations she made. Fuyuki's mother passed by and saw them together, sending a message to her daughter informing her that Tsubasa was on a date with another girl. The couple continued their date, while Fuyuki spied from afar and even had the courage to call Sayuri, who didn't even know what was going on, and only came because she thought it was something very important. They continued to follow them for a while, until they lost sight when Sayuri needed to put away some toys she got from the claw machine. The two ended up deciding to go to the movies, just like Rina and Tsubasa. After the movie, they talked a bit about life and found out they had a lot in common. Rina timidly asked if Tsubasa had a girlfriend, and he promptly said no. Rina asked if he felt lonely for not having one, especially since he came to Hokkaido as a complete stranger without knowing anyone. While they were talking, Sayuri and Fuyuki spotted them again and hid, listening to the conversation. They ended up hearing Tsubasa's beautiful answer about whether he felt lonely. He said no because he had made precious friendships as soon as he arrived in the city, and that was what motivated him to always try to be the best. Finally, Fuyuki stopped caring and went up to the two to talk. She finally talked to Rina and managed to touch her soft hands for the first time. Then, Fuyuki's mother appeared and called them to eat together. After the meat tasting moment, as everyone was leaving, Fuyuki asked if Tsubasa really felt something for Rina, and he said no. So, Fuyuki ordered that his next date would be with her. In Japan, there is an event called White Day, where men reciprocate the gifts they received from their girlfriends on Valentine's Day, and this is how the main theme of the episode begins. Sayuri and Fuyuki rushed over to ask if Tsubasa was going to reciprocate, and he said yes, but he hadn't thought of anything yet. As he was going to the classroom, he ended up meeting Matsuo, who called him over to talk. When Fuyuki handed out chocolates to the class that day, Matsuo ended up dismissing what he received and also provoked Sayuri's anger, who couldn't bear the humiliation her friend suffered. Matsuo was feeling remorseful about what he said to Fuyuki and asked Tsubasa for advice on how to apologize. Tsubasa suggested that Matsuo should tell Fuyuki everything he said to him because Fuyuki would probably forgive him, just like Sayuri. Matsuo thanked him and left happy. When he got home, Tsubasa decided to prepare some cookies to give to his friends the next day. As soon as Matsuo apologized to Fuyuki, he handed over the cookies, which made their eyes sparkle. Matsuo was so grateful that he invited Tsubasa to go ice fishing with him. He went, and when he arrived, he found Fuyuki, who came with her entire family, but was alone because they had gone to try to catch some fish, and she goes with them. After being unable to catch anything for an hour, Matsuo went to look for his father to see if he had caught anything or found a better spot. Tsubasa and Fuyuki chatted for a bit until she revealed her dream of studying beauty because it was what she loved to do. She began to examine Tsubasa's face to see if he would like her to make him handsome, and ended up taking out her lip balm from her bag to apply it to his lips. Their lips were almost touching when Matsuo arrived with good news, interrupting the moment. Matsuo's father was catching a lot of fish, so they changed places and ended up catching many fish themselves. The next day, Tsubasa ended up catching a very strong flu that left him bedridden at home feeling awful and lonely, especially when his grandmother had to leave. However, Fuyuki showed up to see how he was doing. She felt guilty because he caught the flu since she had asked him to keep fishing over and over, exposing him to the cold more. She asked if he wanted her to do something for him, but Tsubasa was very feverish and couldn't think much. The only thing he thought of was asking her to stay with him, which she did, holding his hand until he fell asleep. The next day, he woke up much better and thanked Fuyuki for coming, asking if they had talked about anything, and she replied that they hadn't, because he fell asleep. Tsubasa was happy because he knew she was holding his hand, just like Fuyuki. April brought the beauty of spring, and Tsubasa had already recovered from the flu. As he walked to school, eager to start the new school year, he met Fuyuki, who was waiting for him. She expressed how the spring break wasn't as good without him around. Fuyuki revealed she was pondering whether they would end up in the same class again, as she had heard a rumor that students with higher grades would be separated. Tsubasa reassured her, promising to visit her whenever possible, even if they were placed in different classes. At school, they found out the rumor wasn't true, as both of them ended up in the same class, along with Sayuri, who sported a new haircut, and Matsuo. On the first day of school, Tsubasa was chosen to be the class president, yielding to popular pressure, while Fuyuki ran for vice president. At night, Tsubasa delved into an online game for the first time, accompanied by Sayuri, who helped him build his in-game house due to her experience. Despite feeling a bit disappointed for not becoming vice president, Sayuri didn't see herself as particularly special for her actions and felt stuck in time. Tsubasa disagreed with this view, arguing that for someone who used to isolate herself and avoid social interactions like her, any progress was significant. The next day, Tsubasa and Fuyuki stayed late at school as part of their duties as president and vice president of the class. As evening approached, Fuyuki continued to act strangely around Tsubasa. When he asked why she wanted to be vice president, as it seemed like a role she wouldn't be interested in, she replied that she wanted to spend as much time with him as possible. As they left school together, Fuyuki was very serious, until, suddenly, she asked Tsubasa if he could take a day off to go out with her during Golden Week because she had something very important to tell him. The day of the big meeting arrived, and Tsubasa couldn't sleep at all because he didn't know exactly what Fuyuki wanted to tell him. Would it be a confession? They arranged to meet at the station to catch the train to a special place Fuyuki wanted to take him to. After almost 3 hours on the train, a bike ride, and a bus ride, they finally arrived at Higashimokoto Shibazakura Park to see the beautiful pink flowers that Tsubasa used to see in Tokyo. Check out this photo, guys. Pretty cool, isn't it? They enjoyed the whole day, eating, shopping, and taking lots of photos together. One of them Fuyuki used as her profile picture. She teased him throughout the whole trip, but Tsubasa always kept to himself, too shy and scared to say what he really felt. He even bought her a present, a promise bracelet, which he put on her wrist. Fuyuki asked Tsubasa what he thought people would think when they saw them together, almost as an ultimatum for the poor young man. He was so anxious, he barely knew what to say, but he blurted out, "They probably see us as very close friends," he said. Not even Tsubasa believed his own words, feeling terrible, as if he had distanced himself from Fuyuki forever. Before he could express himself better, Fuyuki surprised him, saying she was going to travel abroad to study what she loved most, beauty. She made this decision after feeling inspired by Tsubasa's effort, which was practically the opposite of hers in terms of studies, and also because he had come from another city without knowing anyone. Fuyuki knew what to do, and all thanks to him. Tsubasa was speechless, frozen, and unsure of what to say. When Fuyuki thanked him for coming and revealed that this was the important thing she had to say, Tsubasa went over to her and hugged her tightly. The atmosphere was interrupted when the park attendant informed them that it was already closing time and they needed to leave. They found out it was already too late, and the bus schedules had changed due to the holiday. Tsubasa called his father asking him to pick them up. The car ride would be almost an hour, so his father had a brilliant idea. A friend of his worked at a nearby hotel and suggested they spend the night there. And that's what they did. Tsubasa was extremely nervous, especially when Fuyuki said she would take a shower first. After she got out of the shower, all our expectations for the last episode were dashed. We hoped he would at least say he liked her, but he simply fell asleep. What a letdown. If I were Fuyuki, I would leave. She apparently left early and left a note for him. The next day, Sayuri was worried about Tsubasa because he hadn't responded to messages and hadn't been online in the game for a long time. Two acquaintances of hers came to the table and asked if Sayuri would like to go to karaoke with them, but she declined. They wondered if Sayuri was maybe waiting for a boyfriend, but she replied that she wasn't, although she turned quite red. After that, Fuyuki arrived with her suitcase, and they had their last conversation before her trip. Fuyuki's main reason for studying abroad was because she was inspired by her friends. Seeing them develop and achieve things they wanted made her make that decision. Fuyuki wanted to be as cool as her friends, and when the opportunity to travel arose, she knew she couldn't waste it. Tsubasa still seemed very sad about what happened the previous day, between him and Fuyuki. When he read the note she left, he didn't have the courage to say goodbye yet, but after Sayuri sent a message saying that Fuyuki was already going to the airport to catch the plane, his conscience weighed heavily. He had to say goodbye, no matter what happened. He begged his father to take him to the airport, and as soon as he arrived, he handed the hair clip that had been in his bag to Fuyuki and thanked her for everything she had done for him from the first day he arrived until the present moment. When Tsubasa said that, when she returned, they would see the flowers together, Fuyuki replied saying, "It's only 2 weeks. Bro, what's up with that? Here I am, super emotional in episode 11, shaken by her saying she was leaving. I can't believe it. She fooled us all. Sorry, Tsubasa. And 2 weeks is too long for her." Tsubasa said goodbye to her, relieved that he would see her again in a few days. Dosanko Gal wa Namara Menkoi was a great anime, although it was quite slow, and the protagonist made us a little annoyed. And my goodness, why are there so many product advertisements around here? Look, if you search for the products that are in the anime, they really exist, and they are just like in real life. Very good. Hey guys, that was the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you like the content, you can make a small contribution and promote a video through Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description. Don't forget to comment on what you thought of the video. I'll read them all. That's it. Thank you.